Hong Kong Direct is your weekly racing roundup with news, views, and importantly this week, previews as well. It's National Day on Tuesday, the first group races of the new season. Hong Kong superstar is back again. Beauty Generation to defend his crown in the Celebration Cup.
Beauty Generation purring like a kitten early, roaring like a lion now. This is 100% pure Group 1 power. Beauty Generation 5 in front. Beauty Generation has just run them ragged, run them into the ground. What a warrior he is. What a remarkable season it's been. Another incredible racing story, a second Champions Mile and a coveted crowning glory.
The beast is back, indeed. And Graham Cunningham joins me as well. Graham, looking forward to Tuesday. Unbeaten since winning this race 2 years ago. Now, can you believe when he first won this race, it was nearly 20-1, Beauty Generation. And last year even, he went off 4.3, vying for favouritism with 50-50.
Yeah, he was a slow burner in that respect, but he's caught fire in a major way the last 12 months. So look at the data for Beauty Generation. 9 wins on a run, dual horse of the year, $85 million in prize money, a record, and perhaps most importantly, that destructive racing style that makes it so difficult for any rival to get near him.
But this is 1,400 metres. His first day, he's done it twice before. Handicap conditions, he's giving lumps of weight away to some very nice horses. You
touch on a really good point, and it's the sort of really compelling scenario that you very rarely get in any racing jurisdiction now. It is not just a champion, a world-class dominant champion trying to give lumps and lumps of weight to some very dangerous horses.
All right, well, we'll have a look at the race in more detail in a second. First, though, let's catch up with one of the important figures behind the scenes. Beauty Generation's work rider, Romain Claveraul, speaks with Ed Sadler.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be joined by one of the unsung heroes of the Beauty Generation story. Romain Claveraul, you ride Beauty Generation nearly every morning. Yeah. To be so closely associated with the hero of Hong Kong racing, what's that been like for you?
Well, you know, it's a dream coming true, really. You know, when you work with horses like that as a work rider, you wake up every morning to hope to find a horse like him. And yeah, it's a great feeling. You know, I've been working for 14 years now. That's what I was looking for.
What were your first impressions of him, and when did you know that he was something a bit better than average?
It would have been like 2 weeks before his first race back in Hong Kong last season. He gave me the gallop of his life. Like, I was thinking, wow, this one is special.
You speak about that great relationship that you've got with the horse. Just tell us a bit about that relationship and what you two are like together out on the track in the mornings.
Well, you know, he's a very grumpy horse. You can't go near him if you don't know him. He will try to bite and kick. And he was like that with me at first. Then I tried to be nice with him, you know, by giving him his favorite polos, the main thing, carrots. And I don't know, it just, you know, day by day, he starts singing a little bit in the trotting ring with me, and I start joking with him, and it just happened like that. Now we're just like kind of best friend already.
He's not the nicest best friend to you though, is he? I know that he's thrown you off a few mornings.
He did throw me off twice actually. He's a bit quirky, you know, he's the kind of horse, if something happened in front of him, he will go the other way.
And is that him being malicious, wanting to show you who's boss, or is that just him being a bit playful?
No, that's definitely him, remind me he is the boss.
Does he know he's good?
He definitely knows he's good. He's so arrogant. He must be the most arrogant horse I ever rode in my life.
You've ridden a lot of very good horses. You work for Godolphin overseas in the UK. You're obviously from France and had a lot of riding experience there. Where does he fit as far as the best horses that you've ridden?
He definitely is on top. I rode a few really nice Group 1 horses. This one is something special. And I think I rode another really nice one in the morning for John with Atero, with actually something really special too, but it won't be as special as Beauty, I don't think so.
Watching his races, what sets him apart, do you think, from the other horses?
Well, to me, it's mental. When you look at him, he doesn't move like a champion. He doesn't look like a champion. He got the physique for it, but his action is not that great. But I think mentally he's just better than everybody else. In his head, he knows he's a champion, and that's what makes him a champion.
He steps out for the first time on this track on Tuesday in the Celebration Cup. He's won the last 2 editions of it. He's got the big weight to carry. You're in the best position to judge. How's he come back from that break that he's had?
Well, he come back obviously a bit fat, because he never had that.
He's not the only one off the off-season to come back a bit fat, right?
Yeah, that's true. But now, listen, he's a horse who runs well when he's fresh anyway. So to me, if he carried top weights, on Tuesday, and if he's still a bit fat, it won't be a problem, from my point of view.
He's a 7-year-old now, 4th season of racing here in Hong Kong coming up. There's no signs that he's slowing down or age is catching up with him for you?
Not at all. Listen, to me, he's like a good bottle of wine, With age, he's getting better, so I'm not worried about that at all.
Lovely chat there, Ed, with Romain, and great to get that insights from as well, because he's very, very experienced, as you heard him discussing there.
Yeah, and if you want to learn a bit more about Romain, Google David Morgan and Romain Clavreul. There's a really good piece online that David of the Jockey Club did. He's had serious injury. He used to ride hurdlers in England. He's come a long way, and he's found the horse of his lifetime, I guess.
He rode for Oliver Sherwood, I think, back in the day. But interesting to hear him talk about the horse as well, saying that he doesn't want to outwardly doesn't look like a champion, but it's what's inside between those ears and his heart as well.
And we talk about the alpha male mentality and the hunger. I'm not comparing this horse to Frankel, don't get me wrong, but in terms of that destructive running style and piling it on when you're in front, don't leave any room for doubt. If you get on top of your opponents, run clean away, and that's what this horse does and has done for so long now.
Do you think, what was the returning point? Can we pinpoint a race or something that happened where he actually did click and all of a sudden, because he's gone from being a really nice horse to being one of the best we've seen here in Hong Kong?
There have been many memorable milestones along the way. I would say last year's Longines Hong Kong Mile, when he didn't just win, he streaked away, and that was the performance that put him right on top of the miling tree at the end of the year, and he's pretty much stayed there ever since.
All right. Ed touched on Beauty Generation turning 7 there as well. It happened quite recently, in actual fact. Hyden Park Stud put up the tweet. It was on Friday, I think, wasn't it? That 1:45 a.m. he was a nice bay colt.
Yeah. If you look very closely at this tweet and you try to enlarge the foaling notes, they give details about how it happened, and it said, good foal, took ages. So it was obviously a pretty long night in the breeding shed, but Beauty Generation most certainly worth waiting for.
One thing I wouldn't be doing now, just going off what you heard Romain saying and my experience with Beauty Generation as well, is kneeling down in front of him when he's not wearing a bridle or anything else and kissing him on the nose, because he's not the most patient individual, unless you've got a carrot or a handful of polos.
It's the mentality of a winner, and it shows when he goes to the front, or whether he tracks horses in a race. If you go head-to-head with him early, you're cruising for a bruising. But then again, if you leave him on his own, he's going to uncoil a 22.3 final 400 metres, and good luck trying to go past a horse who can do that late on.
And does this really set up the season for him as well? He wins here than perhaps he did last year, and it's game, set, and match the rest of the year. But this is really the opportunity, getting a Southern Legend, getting a stone off him. This is the opportunity for them to try and put a dent in their armour.
It's not quite like Abel Friend's Premier Bowl, when he came back and put up a devastating performance from a mark of 134. He had lots of horses in the handicap proper, Andrew. This time, he's got Southern Legend in the handicap, getting £14, but Southern Legend has seen Beauty G's backside 6 times in a row. So that tells you that Beauty Generation seems to have the measure of him. And the other horses, really good horses like Furore, Waikuku, etc., they're getting £20, but the official Jockey Club handicapper thinks they should be getting more like 30.
All right, they're out of the handicap. Let's have a look at the full runners and riders list for Tuesday's Celebration Cup and the handicap conditions as well. Beauty Generation 133, Southern Legend gets a stone, Citron Spirit's getting £20, and the draw for Beauty Generation as 3 is probably neither here nor there. You've got the Derby winner Fiore getting £20 as well. Kaying Star, we'll have a look at him. The horse that has rolled forward in the past, Nothing I Like More, Classic Mile winner from a couple of seasons ago. Waikuku runner-up from the Derby, Dr. Jeff. And Dragon General, they're rolling the dice with him. It's his pet distance, Dragon General, the 1400, but this is obviously quite rich.
Yeah, there are a couple of horses who might be able to give Beauty Generation a race here, but I think it's only a couple. In tactics, as we'll break down in the next couple of minutes, could be very important.
All right, OK, well, let's start off with the champion himself. This is the Champions Mile from last season, finding the front as he invariably does, and basically just powering away.
Absolute confirmation of what we'd known for a long, long time. And if you just look at his locomotion, Andrew, he's got this quick, fluent stride. He hardly ever changes his legs. And he's got Singapore slinging behind, simply brilliant. Conti sadly retired now. And look at this. Zach Purton looks over his left shoulder. He knows there's no trouble. And it's just a case of dial the distance from now on. And it's an absolute emblematic performance of Beauty Generation's flawless 8-win season last time around.
Touch on him changing his legs. Really interesting. If you want to go back and watch him from the start, he'll jump out of the gates. He'll lead on his left leg. He'll get to the bend. He'll switch to his right leg. Gets back into the straight. He switches back to his left leg. It's perfection. He's doing it all himself. He's just exactly what to do.
It's beautiful to watch. It's a sort of just a quite a cruel destruction of his opponent. Slowly but surely, he takes them apart, and in the last 100 yards, he's still eager for more.
Yeah. All right. Well, his main rival, as far as the ratings are concerned, would be this horse, Southern Legend, who's been overseas and claimed the Kranji Mile, back-to-back in actual fact, and he's a very, very good horse. But what can he do to try and unsettle the champ?
I don't think he can do a great deal, but for a couple of reasons. One, that stat is a very seductive one. The last 6 goals he's had against Beauty Generation, he's seen his backside generally from a pretty respectful distance. But he is very good as the season goes on, and that's my theory about Southern Legend. He's a horse who thrives on bold campaigning. He tends to get stronger as the season goes on. To me, he looked a little bit rusty in his trial at Happy Valley last Friday, and I think 1,400 metres is right at the sharp end of his distance requirements.
And that's Zach Purton in the saddle there, of course, as well, so he'll know exactly what Southern Legend's got under the bonnet. Of the others, well, you look at the classic crop from last season. Fiore was a brilliant winner of the Derby, and Waikuku, who swings into the straight wide air. And we've also got Kaiying Star, of course, down here on the inside, who eventually fades out to finish down the field. But what can they do over 1,400 metres? They might be possibly looking for further down the track.
It could well be. Fiore, I think, is a high-quality horse. Waikuku was coming into this race on a roll. Left of picture, just about to fade. Kaiying Star just didn't see him himself on the day. But in the end, this is a pretty decisive Derby win for Fiore. Waikuku comes on pretty strong later on, but I always thought that Hugh Bowman and Frankie Laws Gelding were holding the runner-up. Not too much between those two horses. They both disappointed afterwards, but they've had the pause that refreshes. They should be ready to go again. They're getting £20. That is the key stat.
And they've both trialled well coming into this as well. Kaiying Star once more here. This is the Sha-Tin Mile Trophy on the final day of last season. We got him finishing in 3rd place, and Citron Spirit down there on the inside, finishing behind Harmony Victory, who's come out this season and run well.
Exactly. This is high-quality handicap form, and there's not much between Kaiying Star and Citron Spirit on this evidence. Citron Spirit has £2 or £3 better off. Kaiying Star, to his credit, he did get better towards the end of this last season, and he is a key horse tactically, because if he doesn't take Beauty Generation on early, he's probably going to get a pretty smooth passage through the race. So he's a key horse tactically. Kaiying Star and Citron Spirit both ran really well in that race, but they're in against the governor this weekend.
And Tony Cruz has said this week in the press as well, I'm not afraid of Beauty Generation. You can't go along with him with that. You can't be frightened of one horse, but it's a big ask all the same, isn't it?
Tony Cruz has built 2 very significant careers on not being afraid of much. But Beauty Generation on his A game is a hellishly difficult horse to beat. And if there's one to beat him, I suspect it might be Fiore. Cast your mind back to this day last year. Beauty Generation, big weight, was up against the Derby winner. He gave Ping Hai Star £10 and a handsome beating. This time around, very notably, he's trying to give an emphatic Derby winner not £10, not 15, but 20.
All right, but if I'm just asking you who's going to win this race, who is the tip?
It's Beauty Generation, with Fiore staying on strongly to be a promising second.
All right, so Beauty Generation keep the dream alive, that winning run. They're chasing down Silent Witness on 17. They currently sit on 9. They've already got that prize money record in their back pocket as well. All right, that's the Celebration Cup. I think it'll be very hard to beat. Nothing I like more, though. I quite like him back to the 1,400 metres and good trial coming in as well. The National Day Cup still to come. That's down the straight, the 1,000 metre dash. Plus We'll hear from Richard Gibson talking about his two runners in the race, Rattan and Wishful Thinker, and we'll unveil the Masterclass winner for September as well. Strong starts to the season for Francis Lloyd, Tony Cruz, Danny Shum. Who'll win it? We'll find out at the end of the show. Welcome back to Hong Kong Direct. We've already looked at the Celebration Cup. The National Day Cup is up next for us, which is part of the 10-race programme, which you can preview along with the Racing to Win team of Brett Davis, Tom Wood and Paul Lally on Monday evening, available on the website. All 10 races. A good card as well, along with their best bets. Let's get into the field, though, for the National Day Cup. 1,000-metre dash, Group 3 here. Little Giant heads the list, the Sha Tin Vase winner from last season. Rattan, 1 or 2 in the race for Richard Gibson, the other one being Wishful Thinker. John Size, doubly represented here with Gunnison and Full of Beauty. Jolly Banner, who sprung a surprise down the straight last season at massive odds. And Saul's Special for Michael Chang as a throw at the stumps here. He was a late entry for the race, Graham. But what he has, that some of them don't have, is form over 1,000 metres.
Absolute key point. Great question. When did you last see a 1,000-metre group race where 3 leading fancies, Rattan, Little Giant, Full of Beauty, I think they've had 40 runs between them. Not one of them was over 1,000 metres. So there are lots of imponderables here, and you have to think that it's a really good race. But for at least a couple of horses, it's a springboard race to 1,200-metre races down the track.
So it might be an opportunity, we'll find out in due course, for something of a surprise maybe, a la Jolly Banner once more. Let's start off with the form from last season, and this is Rattan in the Sprint Cup. Now, the two big guns, certainly last season of Hong Kong sprinting ranks, beat the clock on Mr Stunning to his inside, but he got them late in receipt of £5.
Yeah, he jumped on them. It was a pretty tactical race, but what we already knew about Rattan was that he can deliver a very, very powerful finish. And with blinkers fitted here, he was devastating late on. He's an unusual horse in that he can rattle off a 21.6 middle split and then repeat it or better it late on. So I think you have to think he has a better than average chance of showing his form at 1,000 metres. He is very close behind the best sprinters around nowadays.
Because he basically reinvented it. It looked like he was 1,400 metres a mile, a very good one, but it was going to struggle through at the very highest level. But this is then at the very highest level. This is the Chairman's Sprint Prize. And now back on level terms with Beat the Clock. That's him down on the rail. The other horse to take note of here, of course, is Little Giant, who eventually finishes in third.
Absolutely. Again, somewhat of a tactical contest. And he was ridden even more prominently this time. He took up the running from a long way out, gradually increased the pace. But this time, as you say, he didn't have the weight advantage with Beat the Clock, who pounces on him late, but he battles on really well. Don't forget Little Giant in behind. He stays on very strongly. Two of the best 1,200 metres horses in Hong Kong. The question is, how will they be ridden and how will they react to tackling the minimum trip for the first time?
Yeah, that's Santa Lana Lane rattling home in 4th place there as well. Might have had the race to suit, but still a very good horse he had behind him. So Rattan, one of the 2 for Richard Gibson. Wishful Thinker, though, we'll see him in a moment. But let's hear from the trainer himself.
Yeah, I've been really pleased with him. You know, we tried against some good horses the other day, and just had a light prep, but you know, he's very good physical, and he always runs well fresh.
As you say, runs well fresh. Winds have been over a little bit further. Is there a concern about 1,000 metres with him here?
Well, you know, he's always trialled very well down the straight, so we know we'll give him a spin here and take it from there.
What about Wishful Thinker? Was he just too keen first up?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you know, and that's not. You know, we know he likes trailing, and he was ridden up on speed, so you know we can forgive him for that. And you know, he had a fantastic year last year. And he also likes the straight, so you know, I think he's also got a competitive chance in the race.
Yeah, he has got that straight track form, so that's certainly a feather in his cap. Or this is back round the straight, though. This is Little Giant at the back of last season, his final start, and he's got a couple of them beaten here. Wishful Thinker finishes in third. That's Full of Beauty. Won his first 5 races. Full of Beauty signs off with a 4th here, and Gunnison. Now he does have straight track form also.
Yeah, this was a performance which confirmed that lightly raced Little Giant, certainly lightly raced for his age, was still getting better as last season drew to a close. Look at the way he travels in the race under Zach Purton, and it's a real stalk and pounce ride. Right of picture, Wishful Thinker gets chopped for speed briefly, comes home strongly. Full of Beauty came a long way in a short space of time last season, levelled out a bit late, but it's too early to think that he can't improve again. But a decisive win in the end for Little Giant. But I keep asking the same question here. How will the winner, Little Giant, and Full of Beauty for that matter, handle the step down to 1,000 metres first time out?
Yeah, it was Wishful Thinker. If he got the pace that he wanted. Might just be able to sit and stalk and pounce late. It's an interesting race. It's got me scratching my head a little bit. As far as the stats are concerned, though, we're looking at Richard Gibson. This is since 2014. The win rate is 19%, but the place rate's pretty decent as well.
Absolutely. So that's a notable stat. And this is a big pot in its own right. Richard will be eyeing Jockey Club sprints, Hong Kong sprints, etc. down the line. But the question is, who will produce the best performance at 1,000 metres? There are so many imponderables here. I can't go at this race with anything approaching confidence. It wouldn't surprise me if Soul Special ran a big race at a price. But I'm going for the class horse, what will hopefully be the class horse, and that's Rattan.
Rattan, all right. Richard Gibson and Chad Schofield. Rattan might be bigger prizes down the road, but he might be good enough on Tuesday to take out the National Day Cup as well. I'm going to go with Beauty Rush now, who's supposed to run at the Happy Valley meeting that we lost a couple of weeks ago. He's a Group 3 winner in Australia. Now, no Joe Moreira. It might mean we get a better price for that. Joe's riding Fat Turtle. This is the Athero race. I can't have Fat Turtle beating Athero, but Beauty Rush, I think he's a nice horse. I'm not saying he's going to beat Athero, but I think he's a really nice horse going forward. He trialled Super coming into this as well, and who knows, he could be something special. As far as the diary is concerned, going forward, Tuesday then for National Day, the Cup, the National Day Cup and the Celebration Cup, the two features, race 3 and 7. And then to next Sunday, there's no Happy Valley next week. Happy Valley returns the following Wednesday and then back to Sha Tin on Saturday. So that's just about it then, Graham. Looking forward to what should be a fantastic day on Tuesday.
It's going to be a tremendous day. We have Beauty Generation, we have Athero, we have a very good sprint race, something for everyone.
And Beauty Rush as well. In Athero's race.
Or Fat Turtle.
Or Fat Turtle.
Or maybe neither.
We'll find out in due course. That is the show, though. Thanks for watching. We're going to leave you this week with the masterclass for September. And honourable mentions do go to Tony Cruz, Danny Sherman, Francis Lloyd. So had fantastic starts to the season. But it is the Mauritian Magician with a fabulous 5-timer who takes out September's masterclass. Hopefully we can see you again on Tuesday. We'll bring all the action direct to you from Hong Kong.
The top weight not anchoring him completely as King Opie hit the lead from Beauty Spirit. Then Star Performance, Harmony Victory, the King Opie. King of Hearts, it's been a day already for Karis Teeton. He's out after My Darling King of Hearts, Great Treasure and Charizard, blanket finish, King of Hearts, Great Treasure, King of Hearts. It's 5 for Karis Teeton.